there, this is Allie and welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm going to be reacting to 8 of your rabbit enclosures, I believe, and I have 8 different channels that have submitted enclosures, and all of these I will be rating and giving some constructive criticism, and then at the end I'll be giving them a final rating out of 10. So all these people have given me consent to give them some constructive criticism. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I've only been owning rabbits for 2 years, but I do think I know a decent amount to give this constructive criticism, so take it however you'd like. So we're just going to start off with enclosure number 1 then. And this enclosure is from Honey Hops. So they say that he free roams the entire room. I use paper litter for the litter box. I have carpet flooring in my room. He has willow wood and a snuffle mat. And this is for Honey, who is a 5-year-old lot mixed male rabbit. So first off, I love that he free roams, and it's clear that he obviously has a lot of space. So the litter box looks great, except for one thing I've seen in some of your videos that you do use pee pads. I highly recommend against using those, firstly because the litter is there to absorb the urine, so there is not really a use for the pee pads, along with they can be really dangerous if ingested and they cause a lot of extra trash. So instead of that, you can go out and buy some like pine pellets at Tractor Supply or even like Home Depot, places like that. They have pine pellets, and you can just use a layer of those underneath your paper bedding, and those are just as absorbent but way better for the environment and also safer for your bunny. You can see he has a food and water dish, which is great. I do see some cables in the picture, and I do want to say just be very careful with those. Obviously have them protected just so Honey cannot get to them. I love the snuffle mat, I love the toys, but one major thing I see missing is a hiding house. So rabbits are extremely scared easily because they are prey animals. So I would recommend having at least 2 or 3 hidey houses. And obviously because he has your whole room, more is always better because you have more space. And each of those hiding houses should have at least 2 entrances/exits, just so they have the space. The litter box does look on the small side as well. Honey does look like he takes up majority of the space. I would recommend having a litter box at your rabbit that's at least 2 times the size of your rabbit, just because some rabbits like to lie down and so they can burrow properly in the hay should they want to. But overall, I think this enclosure is pretty great. Sorry, not enclosure. This setup is pretty great, and I'd give this an 8 out of 10. Now this next one is from Angel Bunny. They say, "Hi, Angel is a 2-year-old Hottatdorf rabbit, and Angel lives in a 10 by 13 foot room. I use Angel's cage as a home base, so it opens 24/7 for Angel to go in and out as Angel's liking, and Angel also has a litter box, as you can see in the picture. You can't see the bedding or hay in there, but trust me, there's plenty of both. Angel gets 2 meals a day, not including snacks throughout the day, and in each meal, Angel gets 2 leaves of romaine lettuce with a sprinkle of pellets on top." Yeah, I think that's all I can say. And this is for Angel. They don't know the gender, or they didn't specify, and it's a 2-year-old dwarf Hottat rabbit. So the first thing that I really like is that, again, Angel is free roaming. It's nice to see that so many people are free roaming, and this is definitely a lot of space for one small rabbit, and that's amazing. And so the first constructive criticism I would say is the covered litter box. So covered litter boxes are not safe for rabbits because they trap the phenols and the ammonia odors and everything else from the urine. And because rabbits have such sensitive respiratory systems, this could lead to things like URIs, which is very dangerous. So I would highly recommend just taking the cover off of that litter box and using it as is with just the bottom, and making sure that you have plenty big piles of hay in there, which you have already specified you do. Now, something about the cage, that dog crate, I believe, I would say that it's there's a lot of pee pads in the bottom, firstly, which I would recommend taking out, as I mentioned for the previous enclosure, along with the fact that it's kind of not necessary, really, but you can keep it if you'd like. Honestly, in my opinion, I would probably get rid of it, or just cover it and make it like a big hiding area or something like that. But another thing I would say is to add more toys. You definitely have a lot of open space in this room, and it could use like a lot more enrichment toys. You can check out the shops like 101 Rabbits or Binky Bunny, and I also have a few videos on DIY should you want to make your own. And that's really all I had to say about Angel setup. Like, I really love how much space Angel has and the tunnel and the toys you already have there. I just think removing the cover from the litter box and adding some more toys would be very beneficial, along with adding more hidey houses, because that plastic one that you have there is not ideal. You'd want one with more than 2 exits or entrances, and then also one that's less translucent. Also, just one thing quickly about their diet, as you haven't mentioned their gender, but romaine lettuce with a sprinkle of pellets really isn't enough for rabbits in my opinion. I believe that rabbits should have at least a lot more than this, along with different varieties of veggies. I explained more in my video of what Odyssey eats, but basically I believe that free feeding veggies of different kinds and different herbs as well is truly the safest and most beneficial diet for rabbits. So I just give this setup an 8 out of 10 as well, because I do think that it's really amazing, but there's a few things that you can change and it'll be super awesome. So this third enclosure is from Oreo the Bun. They say Oreo is living in a 4x2 CNC grid cage. Oreo gets veggies, spring mix, kale, and romaine leaf and pellets throughout the day, oxbow essential treats, dried banana, strawberries, and hay, orchard grass hay. And for the hay, use a hay bag, and he has a fleece blanket in the cage, uses a glass bowl, and Oreo just got a cage upgrade. He was in a 2x3, and he comes out of his cage at night. So Oreo is a 1-year-old Hatat Lion head mix, and he's a male. So the first thing that I would say is that I know that you just upgraded, but unfortunately this is still extremely small even if he does come out at night, just because rabbits, they need a lot of space to roam, and unfortunately a 2x4 just isn't enough. I used to have Odyssey in equivalent to a 2x4, and that was way too small. She would continuously not have enough enrichment because not enough things can fit in there. As you can probably notice, you can really only fit your litter box a couple toys, not even room for some more enrichment without Oreo not having the space to run around. I'd highly recommend that you upgrade to at least a 5x3 CNC, if not more, because this really isn't enough space for Oreo to run and play and truly thrive in the enrichment that he needs. I would also recommend removing the puppy pad from the litter box, as I've explained previously, and using something like wood pine pellets along with some Carefresh or something on top. The hay is fine, but I would recommend adding hay piles as well, just because having a burrowing hay for rabbits is nice. I like the toys that you have. I would definitely add a lot more, but obviously you cannot fit this in an enclosure this small. And you have a water dish, which is great. For his diet, I'm not going to say much obviously because this is not a diet-based video, but I would recommend a lot more variety and giving him a lot more. And the oxbow essential treats are actually extremely unsafe. They have soy and a lot of other added ingredients, and they aren't natural. If you're going to give your rabbit any treats, try to give them natural things that are 100% fruit or veggies. That's what I'd recommend, because processed treats just are not great for the rabbit's digestive system at all. So overall, I think you're off to a good start, but definitely upgrade the cage, add hiding houses, add more enrichment, and then Oreo would be a lot happier along with that too. So finally, I'd give this cage a 4 out of 10. This next one is from Pet Life with Beck. They say home base is a 2x5 grid cage with 14-inch grids that's almost never closed, maybe once a month or two for both out all day, but we're homebodies. 2 sifting litter trays with wood pellet litter beside the hay rack in their cage with fleece on top of a memory foam mat and a hidey house. The playpen is large, 6 by 11 feet, and flooring consists of area rugs, bath mats, and vet bed. They have a long cardboard tube, woody bendy bridge, corner grid hide, as well as the IKEA doll bed. They have 4 water bowls, as Luna has kidney problems, along with a variety of toys, wooden and grass chew toys, a birch branch, plastic stacking cups, baby keys for throwing around. They also have a little pet couch, which they almost never use, of course. And this is for Apollo and Luna, and they are 7-year-old bonded rabbits. So I honestly really have nothing to change about this enclosure. I just wanted to include it to show to other people about how great it is, because this is a really great example of a proper enclosure for rabbits, and also the proper having 2 bunnies, because obviously having 2 bunnies is always better than having 1. And you have a lot of enrichment, you have a lot of toys and fun things for them to do, and your litter box setup is great. You have a lot of hay in there. And I definitely think that this is an amazing setup that other rabbit owners can take a lot of inspiration from, because you are just doing such a great job of owning Apollo and Luna, and they're probably very happy with your care. So this would be definitely a 10 out of 10. This is the 5th one, and this is from the Potato Bunnies. They say my bunnies live in this enclosure overnight and free roam while we are home in the day. They have rugs around and get scatter-fed pellets, which is why there's no pellet bowl. Their hay hasn't been refilled yet. These is Fluffy and Mushroom, and they are 1-year-old rabbits. So I love that they free roam when you're home, and I love the amount of space that they get. So the first thing is that I would recommend a lot larger of a litter box, because I've seen some of your videos regarding the litter box, and it is a good size, but I would recommend having probably at least 2, because you have multiple bunnies and that litter box is small for both of them at the same time, because I would recommend that your bunnies would be able to be at least double the size. Sorry, the litter box should be at least double the size, and for 2 bunnies that's not really suitable in my opinion. I would also recommend adding another hiding house, because the one that you have there only has 1 entrance, and with having a bonded pair especially, I would recommend having multiple exits and entrances, and just some more toys would be nice in general. But other than that, your enclosure is really great, and I would give this a 9 out of 10, because there's really not much I would change other than adding a second litter box and maybe some more hidey houses. This enclosure number 6 is from Allison, and they say the floor space is 16 inches by 45 inches. There's 2 stories. The floor is wire, but there's cardboard covering most of it so it doesn't hurt their feet. There's a little woven straw house that he likes to sleep in. There's a water bottle, a bowl of food on both stories. He has some toilet paper rolls and chew toys to play with, and a hanging treat ball that you fill with hay. By the way, he gets to play in a large fenced area of grass for 1 to 2 hours a day. This is for Bucky, a 6-month-old mini Rex rabbit. So firstly, I'd really recommend upgrading from this. This is extremely small. Even though it has 2 stories, that doesn't really count towards the overall floor space. I would recommend a minimum of a 5-foot by 3-foot cage, if not larger. So a good example of what you could get would be like a dog X-pen, and that would be a lot more suitable for Bucky, as this is really too small and you cannot fit the proper amount of enrichment along with everything else that Bucky needs for him to actually thrive and have a proper enriched life. Another thing is that the wire hay balls are like the treat balls. Those are actually really unsafe because they can get their head caught in it, and those just don't provide enough hay. You, in my opinion, you need like large hay piles or a hay bag or something of that sort. I don't see a litter box, and I'd highly recommend getting one of at least 2 times the size of your rabbit, filling it with some safe litter such as Carefresh, and then putting a large pile of hay or a hay bag near it. I like that you at least covered the cardboard and that he gets a little bit of time out to play, but he definitely needs more time out of the cage and a larger cage in my opinion. I like how you have the different toys. I see there's a water bottle. I'd recommend having a bowl instead, just because it's way more natural for your rabbit to drink out of. But yeah, I think with a lot of changes, Bucky could be living a very happy life. And you just want to be sure that your rabbit has enough space to do all the natural behaviors that they would perform in the wild, such as run, play, dig, jump, eat things, chew things. And with an enclosure like this, there's not really room for Bucky to do so. So overall, I would give this enclosure a 3 out of 10. I'd highly recommend upgrading to something a lot larger so you can provide the enrichment that Bucky really needs to live a properly thriving life as a rabbit. So this enclosure number 7 is from Pets from Space. They say, Jupiter is a Flemish giant, therefore he will be getting pretty big. We plan to free roam him in as many rooms as possible in our house once he is potty trained. He has toys that they rotate daily, and anything that has fabric in it is monitored to ensure that he isn't chewing it. He currently has no hidey house because he's potty training and they worry that he would poop and pee in it, and so his litter box is acting as a hide. Right now there are things in moderation to his size, like his litter box and hay rack, and they have bigger replacements for once he is older. They don't use the litter box to begin with because they were worried that he'd be scared. They plan to wash the fleece and bed because they're dirty, and they also have puzzle mats under their enclosure because they have a hardwood floor. His enclosure is in my room, so we spend lots of time together. Thank you so much and have a great day or night. This is for Jupiter, a 2-month-old male Flemish giant. So I really like it. You're off to a great start for a rabbit owner that has a baby rabbit. Your enclosure is a decent size, and you obviously know what you're doing. I would recommend changing and not using a hay rack though, just because they don't provide enough hay. I'd recommend either large piles in the litter box or instead use a hay bag. You can find those on Etsy or you can DIY them yourself. So another thing with litter training, you generally want to stay away from soft items, so taking out the bed would be a good idea if he isn't litter trained already by the time this video comes out. And you can definitely still add hides in as long as they don't have a soft bottom or anything, because rabbits are prone to peeing on things with a soft bottom. So hides are very important because they provide the shelter for rabbits when they get scared. So even if you're litter training, I would recommend keeping a hideout in at least one of them, and they should have at least 2 entrances or exits. But other than that, I really have no concerns with your enclosure. It's a great size for him when he's a baby, and I love that you're planning to free roam him when he's older and he has lots of toys. All that you need is a hidey house, and then just adding some different source of hay, because that is a concern in my opinion, because rabbits can get their heads stuck in those hay racks. But yeah, I would give this an enclosure an 8 out of 10 for a beginner rabbit owner. You're off to an amazing start, and it's really amazing how great you're doing. Now, this is the last enclosure, and this is from Binky Flop. They say the pen is 5 feet by 10 feet. For the black, they have a black mat, and they have wood on top of wooden flooring and fresh bedding. They have a cat scratcher, a bed that they made, a willow ball, and a hay mat that they put foraging mix in. And this is for Odyssey, a male Holland lop. So the first thing I would say, I'm pretty sure this is not 5 feet by 10 feet. It appears to be an X pen, and X pen panels are 2 feet wide. So this would be more like 2 feet by 6 feet, which is still an alright size. I would recommend making it a lot larger. I would honestly recommend putting in an octagon shape as the previous person did, because that way they get more space than they do when it's formed like this. I like that he has a bed. I like that he has different toys and foraging mat. The main thing I would recommend is your litter box. That's giving me the issue. Covered litter boxes aren't great, as I've explained earlier. I would recommend just taking the cover off and just using it as so, and then adding a separate hidey house with more than 2 exits. Another thing is the pee pad in the litter box. I've explained this before as well, but you just want to avoid pee pads in litter boxes because they can really damage your rabbit's health in a lot of ways. But other than that, your enclosure is pretty decent. I'd just add some more toys, make it bigger if you can. I understand if you cannot, but if you can reconfigure it just so it provides more space, that would be awesome. And then change your litter box out and add a hideout, then I think that this enclosure would be really amazing. So overall, I would give this enclosure a 7 out of 10. If you can just make a few changes, then it would be amazing. So just before I end this video, I wanted to say something that I haven't mentioned for almost all the enclosures, is that one thing I would really recommend is getting all the single rabbits a friend once the rabbit is neutered or spayed, and then the partner is also neutered or spayed. You can try bunny bonding and bunny dating at a shelter or humane society near you, and that's just because rabbits are social animals. They do extremely well in pairs, and as alone they don't thrive just as much, because rabbits descend from European rabbits, which are found to live in pairs or groups or more in the wild, which is why I think it's so important for a rabbit to have a friend. So if you have a rabbit in here and they were in this video and they were a single rabbit, I didn't say anything about it because I knew it would get repetitive due to how many single rabbits there were in this video, but I would definitely recommend having all these rabbits that are single get a friend, just so they have the social interaction that they need, and they do really need it. You are not enough for your rabbit. I'm going to say that just because you cannot speak the same language as your rabbit. You cannot fully understand your rabbit. You may be calling me a hypocrite because I have a single rabbit. Well, I understand if you cannot get a second rabbit because of your parents. Honestly, that's my situation right now, but rabbits do best in pairs and they need a friend. So that's basically it for this enclosure review video. I know it probably got sort of repetitive with me talking about pee pads and like covered litter boxes and such over and over again, but I figured it'd be better just for me to do rabbits rather than rabbits, hamsters, and guinea pigs, because then I am more of a rabbit-based channel. So I hope you enjoyed, and unfortunately I will not be doing more of these in the future just because I'm moving on from educational videos now, as I don't really enjoy them. But that will be my last enclosure reaction video for the time being, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!